That's what Auburn did over the week, essentially. Claiming national titles, and this is not necessarily a new concept in college football. This happens all the time. But they claimed about 16 conference titles, and then they claimed about 5 national championships. And now Auburn has 9 national titles now, according to Auburn. No, this is the funny part is according to Auburn, not according to anybody else. According to Auburn, they now have 9 national titles.
1910, 1914, 1958, and the most recent one, 2004.
Right.
Which
fair and square, 2010. No complaints from over here.
Yeah.
But I mean, can we now? That's how we're gonna do it. Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3. You got Colin Russo, you got Mike Rizzo, you got Christian Cat. We're at the City Place Studios in downtown West Palm Beach. We're streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter/X at ESPN West Palm. Also on your radio dial, ESPN 106.3. Next 2 hours right here with you on ESPN West Palm. Have you ever been a fan of this when schools like to claim national titles after the fact?
No, and that's why I'm happy we have a college football playoff now. Because I feel like with the BCS was decent enough at determining which 2 of the best teams belong
usually there
there.
was a game.
Usually there was the game where it's like, all right, these are the 2 best teams. I would like to say at an 80% rate, you go, all right, these are the 2 best teams. But more often than not, I'm not a fan of this. Now, 2004, Auburn went undefeated. Famously enough, Colin, the Ronnie Brown, Carnell Cadillac Williams, they really had a 2-headed dragon at the running back position. But, like, my big takeaway is this is what you do when you're irrelevant. And Auburn football has been irrelevant since that national championship in 2013, where arguably, apologies to my Florida State, fans listening, they had the game won 4 different times. Florida State won fair and square. I understand that. But they looked great in the game, and you thought, all right, it's a program that's moving in the right direction post Cam Newton 2010. New head coach, Gus Malzahn. Well, the Malzahn thing fails, and they really haven't been able to figure it out since. They've had a lot of cast members since then, and they've really been irrelevant for the last 12 years of football. So I just feel like when you're in the national spotlight for the wrong reasons, getting 5-star recruits, getting high-profile athletes, and having Hugh Freeze lose 3-4 games every single year, this is what you do. You start claiming national titles from 1910. I mean, Kyle, I have a famous saying, it doesn't even count. I mean, it's so far back that doesn't even count. I understand the history of teams and you like to be known as a storied program in college football, but 1910, 1914, 1958. I mean, it's so far. Who had enough time in the athletic department to be trying to claim championships from 1910 and 1914? Fair play to them.
Alabama was the first to do this. They did it back in the 80s. I did some research. I was curious about the history of this. Alabama did this, and they awarded 5 pre-Bear Bryant national titles when they went through the record books in the 80s.
Jeez, oh, man.
The sports information guy. And then it turned into almost like...
That's like these.
It turns into Monopoly. You got to get there first. Like, if the gauge is undefeated, and I understand, back in the day, it was sort of Wild West. It was all about the bowl game. You didn't know which bowl game had the attachment, especially late in the year. But there's usually the number 1 overall team that wins the last game of the season. If you want to proclaim them national champions, that's one thing. But, I was thinking about 1983. Auburn did not finish number 1 overall. They lost a game to Texas.
Yep. And
that was a year that Miami lost a game and then beat Nebraska, who was like the best team in the country in the final game of the year. So why does Auburn have the right to the 1983 one? It doesn't make any sense. There's certain years undefeated. All right, fine. 04. But I just think this is the dumbest. It's like UCF. Mm-hmm. UCF did this a couple years ago.
They did. Well, UCF went undefeated, did not get selected to play in a national championship, but they still hung a banner. Ridiculous. By the way, 04, Kyle, if I could focus on 04 for a sec. USC, they deserved to be there. They ended up winning the game. Now, it got taken away because of the whole Reggie Bush thing, but we all know who won the championship that year. It was one of the best teams I ever seen in USC.
One of the best games, too.
Correct. And then Jason White and the Oklahoma-led team, they were 12-0 in the Big 12. They got selected. So there were 3 undefeated teams that year, and 2 of them got selected. You got burned. Like, you deal with it. I don't want, listen, I understand Auburn fans upset. It reminds me a little bit of the Florida State getting snubbed from the college football playoff. You're undefeated. You probably deserve a bid. I'll give Florida State this. At least they didn't hang a banner. At least they didn't claim a national championship in 2021 or 2022, maybe 2023. Regardless, Kyle, they didn't hang a banner for that year. Like, I have enough sense to all right, this is a bit petty. This is a bit extra. And
I don't like when teams
and maybe I have a different outlook rooting for the team that I do, who's in the mix every single year. But I really think that this is just a team with way too much time on their hands, and it hasn't won a whole lot of nothing. I mean, what did they, Kyle, in 12 years, Auburn standards, it's been, they haven't gone up to their expectations. Let's be completely honest with ourselves. How long has the college football playoff been an entity?
It sounds to
5
me
years?
like this is like a recruiting play.
Actually, sorry, 10 years, 11 years. They haven't made it.
It almost comes off as a recruiting play.
For what?
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, they're going to come out and say, 9-time national champion now. Hold on, you want to come play for a 9-time national champion in college football? 9 times, really?
Did you see our 1910 national championship where we didn't pass the ball one time? One with a bunch of a bunch of speed options? I mean, come on, Colin. This is one of the more ridiculous things I've seen in a long time.
But the thing
football.
is, this is not only them. I agree. I don't like it either. But this happens. A lot of teams do this. I mean, Yale and Princeton has all those claimed national titles. Michigan's done this before. Alabama did this.
It's just so hard. Like, I feel like back in that's why they made the BCS. Because they were tired of, we're claiming this one. We're doing this one.
Because nobody knows.
Exactly.
Nobody knows.
Exactly.
You have to, and they were nervous that certain bowl games would take brand over team. And they probably did at some points. And they didn't know if there were multiple teams like 04 where, you get burned when you get chosen. But even back in the old days when they're in the bowl games, the Sugar Bowl, whatever it was, the Orange Bowl, they choose the teams with the brands. That's where you get that's where you get screwed. Is even if you might be a better team, that's just how it was. It doesn't mean just because you had the path of least resistance and you don't have the blemish on the resume that you are a national champion. Because off of what?
Right.
You didn't win you didn't win a game labeled as such.
Mm-hmm. And the 04, the year that I'm really, on like a hawk because of how good I thought USC was that year. Now, we could say maybe Auburn deserved it over Oklahoma, but we're a big fan of letting the bowl games dictate who should have been and who should have been what. Auburn won 16-13 in their bowl game. It's not like they won 40-10.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's not like they completely dispatched a 10-2 Virginia Tech team. There's just so much variables that go into this thing. That's why I like the playoff. I go back to, I know the college football playoff, it has its flaws. And
it's always been a mess. That's the college
really
football has always been a mess.
But in the end of the day, I think the playoff and the era that we're in, they've had the best team in the college football playoff every single year. We haven't sat there and gone, that team would have been, that team would have won it all that year. I've never done that.
To a fault, because usually it's one or two teams above the rest. That's usually,
I've never done that before. And I think that with the 12 team, it's only going to get better. And especially last year with the Buckeyes and how that all worked out, they would have missed out on the 14 playoff because they were lost to Michigan.
And there was and there's definitely a possibility that they wouldn't even have made the big time self-proclaimed bowl national championship.
The BCS game.
Yeah, or not even BCS, but even before. They would have made the big time bowl game.
Yep.
They're not national champions.
Yep.
That's why you
see what I'm saying?
You need a championship. You need a playoff. You need a game of the top versus the top. And when you don't have that, doesn't mean that because you didn't get that you could, because there's no resume blemish, that you could afford yourself the luxury of being a title contender.
Can you imagine sitting around in that athletic department and going, you know what?
Yeah, you think it's like a war room on the NFL draft day where they're looking around, high-fiving each other?
It's like, you know what?
Congratulations, guys.
You know what, guys? You want to know what's on my mind today? God, that national championship from 1910. We should have been there. They stole that one from us. Something that happened 114 years ago.
I wonder what intern they got working on that.
Too much time.
What sports, what Auburn athletics intern that all right, look through all of our history, go game by game, and determine when you think we were capable enough of claiming or have a right to claim a national title.
And ironically enough, I think Auburn's going to be a pretty decent team. I think any SEC team that looks at them with, Jackson Arnold, the new transfer quarterback on over from Oklahoma, they got 5-star wide receivers all over the place. They're going to be a good team next year. You got talent everywhere. But you see what I'm saying when I say this is what happens when you don't have recent success. This is what happens when you're a major, and don't get it twisted. Auburn's a major player in NIL and big-time players going to that program and a storied program. But this is what happens when you've been irrelevant for for about 12
the
years.
one thing I'll say
That's
to
what
fight back,
happens.
they're
You
not
start
the
doing
only team
stuff
that
like
does,
this.
they're not the only